behalf of Motor Forum, I have been looking after this absolutely gorgeous Ducati Scrambler Desert Sled for the last week, and to be very honest with you, it's raised rather a lot of questions. It's no secret that Ducati has launched its Scrambler sub-brand very much as a lifestyle brand. To give you an impression of that, if you go to the regular Ducati website, so the one that's got the Panigalas, the Monsters, the Multistradas, you will not find any of these Scrambler models on it. Instead, you have to go to the Scrambler Ducati website, which is filled with t-shirts, with music and stuff like that. And it kind of raises the question, should we be looking at this as a lifestyle product, or should we be looking at this as a motorcycle? While I definitely pretend to know what I'm talking about when it comes to bikes, I can assure you that I know absolutely nothing about lifestyle products. What I can tell you about the Scrambler Desert Sled is that it's Italian, it is achingly pretty, and at 12,000 euros here in the Netherlands, it is definitely not cheap. So given the price, given its heritage, and given its appearance, I'm willing to bet it probably does quite well in the lifestyle department. The general consensus is that a Scrambler is a road-going motorcycle that has been adapted for off-road use with stuff like knobbly tyres, long travel suspension, wide bars and a high exhaust. And if you look at it that way, the Scrambler Desert Sled is more of a Scrambler than Ducati's regular Scrambler, which I find quite confusing. So the question is this a road bike? Is this an off-road bike? How should we see the positioning of this? Well, to be honest, I haven't quite figured it out. I think the best way to describe it is probably a soft roader. So I did take it to a dirt track, and apart from the fact that I have really bad off-road skills, it didn't do too well. The tyres aren't really knobbly enough, it's a little bit too heavy, just a bit too clumsy, so it's definitely not a dirt bike. But in Ducati's defense, it's not presented as a dirt bike, so we can't really hold that against them either. So we also took it to the Belgian Ardennes, where we found fields, gravel roads, unpaved roads through the forest, and it was absolutely fantastic. The tyres provide plenty of grip. The suspension has quite a long travel, it's very supple, it kind of absorbs the bumps, yet still lets you know what the bike is doing. It's got these wide bars, makes it really easy to control. If you're standing on the pegs, it's nice and maneuverable between your legs. And definitely in comparison to the other Scrambler bikes we had there was a Triumph and a Yamaha, this was definitely the best off-road. It's a really, really fun off-road bike. It doesn't bite in any sense, so the throttle is very soft. That's something I'm going to come back to in a moment. The ABS can be switched off, the brakes are really, really nice, you can feel what they're doing, you can dose them really well. And it's just a really fun bike off-road. It was definitely the winner of the three. When you take it out of the forest and onto the roads, there are two things that let it down a little bit, and the first of which is the tyres. It's got these really fat, really meaty, semi-off-road Pirelli Scorpion tyres, and they look the bit, so they really complement the all-round off-road look of the bike. However, if you look at the tread, you'll see there's quite a groove in between the knobbly bits, and when you're on regular asphalted roads, if you're turning into a corner, there is most definitely a dead spot just where that groove is. In all fairness, it hasn't lost any grip, it's never washed out, but there is most definitely a dead spot there. It's not very confidence inspiring, and it has to be said. On the other hand, if this was my bike and it did need new tyres, I would most definitely put the same tyres back on simply because they do look so good, and it is a bit of a lifestyle bike, and I do like that stuff. The other issue I have with the Desert Sled is the throttle response. So this is an 800cc 75 horsepower engine which has mountains of torque, and if you crack open the throttle it should be able to pull a wheelie, especially in first gear. It shouldn't be a problem. And Ducati has artificially softened the throttle so much that it's simply impossible to get the front of. There are kind of two sides to this story, because on the one hand the soft throttle response means that it's really accessible for more novice riders. However, the bike in itself has quite a naughty character. It's the kind of bike that tends to be a lot more fun the more you misbehave on it, and the softer throttle response really puts a damper on that kind of behavior, which is a shame. Objectively speaking, this is not the best bike I've ever ridden, but there's something about it and I can't really put my finger on it. Maybe it's that typical, undescribable yet undeniable Ducati magic. Maybe it's the air-cooled engine. Maybe it's the general fun factor. Maybe it's the way it looks, maybe it's the way it sounds, and it does really sound and look fantastic. The attention to detail is really nice. The finish is absolutely sublime. But despite it being a bike that definitely has a few compromises, if you look at it both as an off-road bike and as a road bike, it has completely won me over, both off-road and on-road. I can't really describe it. Maybe it's the lifestyle appeal, maybe it's that X factor that Ducati is so well known for, but they've totally done it again. And you know, despite it being a bike with compromises, despite the fact that I have ridden objectively better bikes maybe from a technical point of view, this is going to be a really hard bike to give back to Ducati later. And to be honest, I'm dreading the moment when that has to happen. It's a bike that you just kind of gel with. And in that respect, it's reminded me that, you know, it doesn't need to be really technologically advanced. It doesn't need to be extremely fast. What's important is how it makes you feel, which for me is why I started riding bikes in the first place. So I'm really dreading the moment that I have to give this back. It's going to be in a few hours, but so far I'm absolutely smitten with this thing.